fabulous hair. He's a prize-winning poet, photographer, and assistant editor of Jefferson. Recent poems can be found in One Art, Quartet, and Autumn Sky. Her photos have appeared online and in print, including one which was a Rattled Egg Frosted Challenge prompt in 2019. She has 2 books, Alinea, and her most recent co-written with Alan Walowitz, In the Muddle of the Night. Betsy is currently and sporadically working on a full-length manuscript titled Rue Obscure. Welcome, Betsy.
Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm just kind of stunned to be here, and I appreciate the invitation from Marc 4 years ago. And thank you to Frank. Thank you to my friends who are here from as far as Hawaii, Connecticut, Flushing. Anyway, I think I need to switch it up a tiny bit because I substitute teach sometimes when I'm home in California, and the incident recently in Georgia has been on my mind. So I want to start with a poem that was in, I don't know where it was, Praxis, I guess, a while ago. It's titled, At War, You Know the Drill. Don't go bringing your tired, your poor year. We already have our own huddled under tiny desks. Too small for their near adult psyches. Bodies and psyches not developmentally ready to grasp the concept of mortality that you live every day in. Fear has entered our classrooms, even in porcelain suburbs by the sea, where their sheltered affluence cannot protect them any more than their swagger. They're losing their innocence and time to learn from failure under the protection of helicopter parents who can't shield them from the barrage of bullets and news. Darken the lamp, bolt the leaded door. We went out, Hillary's first time in New York, we went to see the Statue of Liberty yesterday. It was very, a really profound feeling being there. I used to spend summers in New York City with my grandmother who lived in the Garment District, and this is one, it's still in progress. I never usually read anything that hasn't been finalized, but I want to read this for her. Summers with Francis, New York City. My grandmother stashed her cigarettes in her mailbox, 4 flights down, deliberately hard to reach. A divorcee, she played mahjong, practiced tai chi. On her balcony, traveled solo, as far as I knew. Her apartment bestowed her with a view of the courtyard, where I played in summers past, on hot afternoons while she took her daily nap. At night, we sat together in her kitchen, ate Dutch chocolate ice cream, washed the bowls, went to sleep. On her etagere, she displayed a flock of lacquered birds she'd gathered here and there. Her temper only emerged when talk turned to my grandfather, or my mother, her daughter, whose birth tied her to him. Me, she bathed with witch hazel to soothe the fever, dressed me up, took me to the theater. Once she splurged for brunch at Windows on the World. The only time I saw her scared, the escalator made her balk, so we took the elevator to dine and stare. I don't remember if we talked. One day, decades on, after the papers piled outside the door, she was found near her tub on the parquet floor, prevailed upon to move to a place on the other coast, torn from the city she loved so well, like the birds that now adorn my shelf. Now she is like that tower we sat atop. Its tall silhouette, no more than a ghostly projection.
Mm-hmm.
And that's an honor. Actually, I did a Maria. I didn't start my timer. Darn it. Okay, I assume I've done at least two minutes at least, and I'll cut something out. An Ode to Swallowing. This was inspired by Alan's love for his friend, and also for my mom, my dad, and everyone else who's gone through similar kinds of issues. An Ode to Swallowing. When even a spoonful is too much, when you feed on a line of sugar water, heart thrumming like a hummingbird. When your throat narrows along the road ahead, and fear of aspiration fills you with dread. When the lump in your throat becomes an unspoken apology in mine. When the line is drawn between ritual and survival. teaspoonful of yogurt distills a perfect sweetness. From our first gulp of air at birth to the first solid that we consume, we take for granted the breath, nourishment, swallow the fear of choking. In time, we begin our vigil, watch our elders, then become our elders, each bite a promise and a threat, the irony cruel on our tongues. If we're lucky, return to gruel, swallow what we must. I guess now I've got hours up there too. So at the OBGYN for my mother, the doctor spreads a thin layer of conductive gel on the moon-shaped surface of my pregnant skin. The ultrasound wand passes over and detects a beat, the faint first pulse of my new-formed boy. The reality of a body within my body finally sinking in. Across the street, my mother lies in intensive care, paralyzed from an attempt to remove a tumor from her brain. I encouraged the surgery. She might never walk again. The doctor reads my tears as joy, and I couldn't say whether he's right or wrong. It's true, we're only flies to wanton gods. We lay our eggs, create a buzz, and then we're gone. This one actually was inspired by Hillary when I was visiting her in Hawaii, and lots of respect and admiration and love. It's called Gathering Mangoes. I think it's going to be published on Monday, Tuesday. The ground is littered with fruit, and I stoop over and over and over, knees creaking, awed by the abundance, the wind blown and the underripe, others dropping heavy with juice, skins splitting. Some infested with insects and larvae, some pocked with holes where they've been pecked at by birds, some already gnawed to the pit by whatever nocturnal creature feasted. Most were a wound, soft spots where the force of gravity and ground took its toll. I sort them into piles, too small, too damaged, those rare few, unmarked, most salvageable with patience and a tender knife. A skillful hand works around the wound. The bruise, sorry. I'm hoping I'm not going to run over because I didn't start on time, so forgive me a little bit. My stepmother died last year, and she was a hardcore New Yorker, so I have to read one for her. It's called Holding On. What we see is a freezer full of ice cream cups, bed wedges, compression boots, a woman lifting her hand to the air, grasping for something we can't see, the rhythm of the oxygen machine pushing air through the cannula, the rasp of its breath, the slow pulse of her neck, only visible up close. Intermittently, she wakes dry-mouthed, laughs at her hallucination, weaves a living dream. She's holding on, and I am too, hoping we'll both be as strong as love, as strong as her grip on my hand, eyes locked on each other, on the beauty of the other, on the cusp of the mystery, resisting the crossing, the inevitability, begging the great whoever to preserve these memories, which I know will be all I hold before very long. I have a short one. Thank you. I think I'm okay, I hope. This is homeopathy. These the last two are kind of pandemic poems, which seemed appropriate given our delayed reading here. Homeopathy. I, the other silver-haired women in the wellness aisle, pandemic refugees from the bottle. We nod, recognize each other above the masks. The others once bloodshot eyes. Early on, it took some liquid courage to tell night from day. Each day dying, bleeding into another. First, the roots emerged, and I marked time in inches. Dark and light intermingled, distinguished at last, need from pride. Another trapping we shed like bras. What matters above, within, the head, the heart, the liver's overfed, and we're finally sated, or at least resigned, with eyes that smile, endure, we turn to one another and discover a cure. This is my last one. It was written for my daughter. It's a little seeing Shrek at the drive-in during a pandemic. Ogres are like onions, and I am too, taking off the outer skin for a couple of hours to be close to kin. I peel my gloves off after the ticket taker hands me a menu for the snack bar, edge away as far as I can from the van they wave me next to, which is spilling laughing children. The dark descends. Shrek slouches before a rising moon. Donkey nearby. I sigh in recognition, alone in the swamp heat of my enclosed car, shutting out the unmasked. In the car to my right, my daughter behind glass, windows up, we communicate by phone and gesture, with thumbs up and heads bobbing to the soundtrack of her childhood. I am trying to atone for all my layers, the rawness, the cutting, the weeping of the onion, the irritants which sear. In the castle a dragon slumbers, ready to fire up its scorching breath. At night I assume my true form, hope, that I might be loved anyway. By light of day, I spin candy floss from spider webs, balloon whatever frogs come my way. And now I have the pleasure to introduce